Now on 4, Tonight with Jonathon Ross.
Thank you very much indeed. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and good evening, and welcome to another fine show. Now, of course, as we all know, tonight's Wednesday, and tomorrow is the big election day, and I, for one, am not prepared to predict which way it's going to go, but I picked up something at a car boot sale this morning, which might shed some light on the subject. I got this really cheap the other day. This is a rather interesting soapbox, and what a fine example of British craftsmanship it is. Only one previous owner, and it's got the initials JM carved on the side. A bargain at £4.50. And from now on, wherever I go, my soapbox comes with me. That was a sort of a Wednesday night kind of gag. That's why you... I'm going to get a proper job. OK, so we've got the time, we've got some balsa wood, and we've got a little tube of Airfix glue, so let's make a show. Appearing tonight, we have that man of 1,000 faces, most of them smackable, Mr. Harry Enfield. Harry will be seeing how long he can go without 4 Harry Enfield fans in this evening. Harry Enfield, he'll be trying to see how long he can go without inventing a new catchphrase. Also with us is Roy Greenslade, the former editor of the Daily Mirror, who'll be telling us about his new book, Maxwell's Fool, which should make quite a splash. Roy claims that the troubled tycoon took his own life, and that's as well as a couple of million quid out of the pension fund, and he'll be telling us exactly why a little later on. But first, in the wondrous world of crutch-hugging lycra, MTV haircuts and percussionists with a limited lifespan, my first guests have no peers. While others search in vain for the lost chord, these guys can't even find room for the 3 they've already got. They were on a few weeks ago, and they're back tonight to update us on their quest to find a new drummer. Please welcome the one, the only, Spinal Tap. Fabulous to have you back on the show.
Great.
Thank you. You know, and since you last came on, you've had a fantastic success. It must be one of the most successful comeback albums of all time.
It's a whirlwind of activity.
Break Like the Wind, the new album. Where is it in the charts at the moment?
0.
Yeah. We debuted at 0. It's the first time it's ever happened.
They invented a whole new slot for us.
So you're higher than one.
Higher than number one,
yeah,
yes.
That's fantastic.
And there's a bit of a misprint. Instead of saying new entry, it says rear entry. We don't
understand.
Number 0.
None of us understand.
Very proud of that.
Now, you were talking about, of course, the big quest to find a drummer, a drummer that would stay with you for some time.
Yeah. Yes.
How did it go?
Well, right. Good, yeah. We've been going to different cities just to have backup drummers on beepers, you know, just in case something goes wrong.
So we're holding auditions here in London, as a matter of fact,
so
this week, yes.
So you'll be looking for someone...
To back up our permanent drummer, Rick Shrimpton, who is...
So this is the lucky man you found. Rick Shrimpton is the new Spinal Tap drummer.
Yes. He's the younger twin brother of Mick Shrimpton, who died some time back.
Yes.
Was Mick a drummer as well?
Yes,
oh, yes,
that's why he died.
That's what he died of.
So he was a drummer with you and...
Exactly, yeah.
That's terribly
The curse got him, yeah.
Well, will we get to see you perform this evening? Because we have a lot of Tap fans who tuned in to see you live.
Well...
That was the intention when we came here. Yeah.
It's we're incapable of performing tonight. I'm very, very sorry.
It's not
our incapability, it's Rick.
Yeah.
Your new drummer?
Yeah.
Our new drummer is...
He's come down with some sort of a bug, and he's in intensive care.
He's
just out over here at Guy's
the hospital.
Just down the road,
That must have just happened since he joined you then,
Yeah.
Yes.
This morning.
Yeah.
Took sick this morning.
Well, there's a lot of disappointed people who tuned in.
He's in intensive care right now.
I know, I'm not saying we get the guy out, but we're really upset you can't perform for us.
No, we were
Can you
going
perform?
to...
We have our drummer, our house drummer.
No, that's not possible. No, he's got children. We can't do that.
It's unfair. It's unfair.
No immediate family. That's our...
I respect you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were going to perform The Majesty of Rock, which is our new single,
From
which is due
Break
out
Like the
on
Wind.
Queen's birthday, the 21st.
So it's out, The Majesty of Rock, on the Queen's birthday?
Yes, right. It was her idea, actually.
Yeah.
She rang us up. What you can do for my birthday?
Yeah,
ideas.
it's her idea.
Something special.
It's a very anthemic song.
Well, I've heard the album. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a real stadium filler. It's got power and it's got... That's why I wanted to hear it, you see.
Well, what we can do for you, we can recite a bit of it, because the lyrics are very important and very anthemic, even without the anthem portion of the anthem, you see.
It's like poetry, really.
Yeah.
We can recite it.
Well, it's sad when lyrics get lost behind the music sometimes, so perhaps this is a treat
That's right.
after all.
Well, we'll try and get them lost out
So
front
this
of the
is,
music,
without not really performing as such, but performing the majesty of rock.
Could be a blessing in guise.
I'll be okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's have the majesty of rock.
There's a pulse in the newborn sun, a beat in the heat of noon. There's a song as the day grows long, and a tempo in the tides of the moon.
That's the majesty of rock.
The mystery of roll.
The darning of the sock.
The scoring of the goal.
The farmer takes a wife.
The barber takes a pole.
We're in this together.
I'll do it.
Rick Shrimpton! We're going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
All right.
Are you all right?
Wait, it's going to be okay.
What a professional. He doesn't look like he's capable of performing.
Give me a hand.
You can do it.
Give me a hand.
Okay, well listen, don't do it now. Why don't you see if he's well enough?
Yeah.
We'll give you a chance by the end of the show and maybe put some makeup on him so it doesn't
A
look
lot
quite
of
so-
help, I think, yeah.
Okay, and so if he's willing and able, we will have them performing live. Spinal Tap, ladies and gentlemen. A bit like one of the show. Nice to meet you, Rick. If he's up to it. Now that's the pro. So hopefully, if he's up to it, we'll check on his progress. We will have Spinal Tap at the end of the show. Now, my next guest is a journalist, author and former editor of the Daily Mirror. In his new book, Maxwell's Fall, he lifts the lid, if you'll pardon the expression, on his former boss, Robert Maxwell. Here to tell us what he found inside is that author. Please welcome Roy Greenslade. Thanks for coming on the show. Now, you knew Mr. Maxwell, even Mr. Maxwell.
Waxwell as well.
Mr. Waxwell. You knew Mr. Maxwell and you worked with him. How long did you know him for, and why did you decide to write this book after his death?
Well, I knew him for about I worked for him. I think knowing him was a bit more, it took a bit longer, but I worked for him for 14 months. And then after that, he sued me, so I knew him for a bit longer in the court sense, which is the way he liked to see people. You know,
You're one of the few people who actually won their case against Maxwell, aren't you?
I did, yeah. He sued me for some breach of some silly contract, and I won the case. Actually, the worst, I'm still trying to get to grips with this worst moment in my life, which was I spent Christmas Day, '89, you know, as you spend Christmas Day with friends and so on. And at 20 to 8 on Boxing Day morning, there was a call. Mr. Greenslade, Bob Maxwell here. So I cut the phone, turned to my wife, as you do.
So you thought
and
that the present you didn't get from him, he was going to bring it round or something?
Well, I didn't know. You know, I said, there's a Mr. Maxwell on the phone. She said, don't be stupid, it's Paul Callan playing a joke. So I said, can I ring you back? Of course you can. And from that moment,
so that was him offering you a job?
Boxing Day '89, he took over my life for 2 years.
What a strange time to give you someone to call and ask for work. But didn't that warn you about what the man might be like to work for?
It did. It should have done, shouldn't it? But of course, even though I knew he got a monstrous reputation, it was a mixture of innocence and arrogance. My innocence was that I thought I could tame him, and that he couldn't be as bad as one thought. My arrogance was that I dealt with so many bad people in journalism, I thought I'd roll over him as well. But of course, rolling over Maxwell was a difficult thing to do.
I should imagine it was. Now, what was he like then? You talked about his arrogance. How did that manifest itself? What kind of behaviour did you witness?
Well, in every possible way, this was a bad man, right? So he interfered in the newspaper in the most bizarre fashion.
So he was hands-on in the running?
Hands-on all the time. And what he liked to do is wait for you to go home and then launch into something, or instruct staff when you didn't know it, and so on. So, for instance, when the Gulf War broke out, I didn't know, but he summoned the reporter before he went off. He didn't know much about geography, by the way, Maxwell, because he kept saying to this guy, don't get Delhi belly, which is strange, you know, in Saudi Arabia. But he told this guy, when you get there, speak to Mr. Ajani. So Bill Acast, the reporter, sets off.
Thinking there's a contact there or something
Thinking
important?
this guy's going to be helpful, might get him a four-wheel Jeep, get him into the desert, meet people and so on. But Ajani rings and says, I want contacts at the highest level in the US and British military. So Bill thought this was a bit strange. It transpired the reason he wanted them was because under Maxwell's orders, he wanted to sell Maxwell's encyclopedias to the troops in the trenches. So one day, someone runs into my office, they say, Bill's in terrible trouble. I said, what's wrong? Thinking, you know, is a war on, he might have got shot or something.
Yeah.
They said Maxwell has called him and said he's going to be sacked for failing to sell encyclopedias.
That's a very, very, very strange business.
Very strange, but I must say this for Bill Acast, brilliant thing to do, because you know Maxwell bugged everyone.
So he actually recorded conversations?
He recorded conversations, yeah. He must have heard a lot from me about him. He actually tape-recorded Maxwell's conversation, so you can actually hear him say, sell my encyclopedias.
So you've got proof that he said this?
Absolutely.
How did he interfere with the day-to-day running of the paper? Did he try and have a say over what headlines you used, what stories you ran?
Not so much over the kind of headlines, but he did like to be involved in stories in all sorts of ways. He particularly liked to get his own picture in the paper, of course.
Which we saw all the time. He was always...
Yeah, although by the time I came along, I tried to keep them postage size
Now,
on
how
page
did the readers of the Mirror react to that? Because I personally found that, you know, enormously off-putting.
In the early days, when Maxwell first owned the paper before I got there, I think he lost something approaching 500,000 circulation in the first year when there was full of Maxwell.
Now, that was a horrible blow to the ego, knowing that your face on a paper has lost 500,000 readers.
Yeah, but he didn't see it like that. He lived in his own world where everything was fine and okay, so it didn't really matter.
Well, he did until right till the end, of course, if what you suggest is true. You say he did kill himself?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, could it not be that he slipped and he's just a really bad swimmer?
Well, there was a suggestion that he got a bit of banana stuck in his gut and he'd slipped on the banana peel, but I think we can actually dismiss that. He was under such strain when he was on that boat. He'd had Goldman Sachs chasing him because he'd not paid a debt to them, a Swiss bank chasing them because he'd not paid a debt, an American bank, Shearson Lehman, chasing him. He knew when he went to that boat that the MCC board were in revolt, the MGN board were in revolt. There was absolutely every reason, lots of companies, every reason for him to jump. And I think it's definite because the pathological evidence is also there. They found he'd got torn muscles in his back. And so what he obviously did was let himself over the side and clung on and let himself down into the water. Now, he wouldn't, everyone said, well, surely he would have drowned. But this was a man, 22 stone, he couldn't sink, you see. So he would have been there and got hypothermia and then got a heart attack.
Now, do you feel sadness about that? You worked with a man obviously did not like him.
I couldn't really feel sad because
he really was a bugger to work for then, wasn't he?
He was a monstrous man. And I think that thousands of pensioners across Britain who won't get their money won't feel too sad either. Yeah. This was a man with the most enormous ego.
Did you have your pension with the Mirror Fund?
I took it out just as I left.
Oh, you smug devil.
Well, I'm not so... Actually, I'm not smug at all because my wife, who works for the Mirror, left hers in. So we are going to lose a bit, I'm sure. Business. But this was a man with monstrous, absolutely monstrous view of himself. For instance...
I haven't got time for another, for instance, I'm sorry, Roy, but I could talk about this all night. I find it a fascinating subject.
Okay.
The book's out now, and you detail many, many horrible anecdotes about Mr. Maxwell. So if you lost your pension, it's a must-buy, I would have thought, really, just to make you feel a little bit better. Thanks for coming on. Roy Greenslade, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much indeed, Roy. Thank you very much indeed. We've got to take a commercial break now on this exciting Wednesday evening. Don't go away. When I come back, I'll be chatting to none other than the gorgeous, pouting Harry Enfield. See you then. Welcome back. Welcome back on Friday's show. That's just in 2 days' time. Paul Merton and Mikey Biggs will be here. And then afterwards, me and some of the boys are going out for a drink. So if you can't make the show, we'll see you over the pub a bit later on. Dress casual, no trainers. Now, if you cross the copy of Viz magazine with Dick Emery, you might arrive at a rough approximation of my next guest. Undoubtedly the funniest man I'll be speaking to over the next 5 minutes. You know him, you love him. He does a lot of work for charity, which he doesn't like to talk about. Please welcome Mr. Harry Enfield. What a brilliant walk.
Woo! How you doing?
What a fabulous walk did he do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey.
That was a really good showbiz walkover.
I like that. I saw that Robin Williams guy on Monday on your show. On Monday, he's real funny.
Are you excited about being in the same
Real
seat?
good, yeah. He's a funny guy.
It's probably still warm for him. That's the impression he made.
Really?
2 days
From
ago, the
Monday.
seat's still warm.
What have you
for
been
Robin.
doing since Monday?
I've been hanging out with the boys. You know
Have
me.
you? I've heard about you, yes.
Harry.
Jonathan.
Now, your new series just started. The first episode just went out.
Yeah, went out last week, yeah.
The sketch you did at the beginning, the Goodfellas sketch, was one of the funniest I have seen. Because, you know, normally I think you're really unfunny.
Yeah.
But that sketch I really like.
Feelings mutual, yeah.
But are you happy with this series? Are you pleased with it?
Yeah, generally, you know, obviously one's never happy with one work entirely, Jonathan, as I'm sure you know.
You feel uncomfortable talking about yourself, don't you? I can see this. You had to go into a little voice then, didn't you?
Yeah.
You couldn't just talk openly to the boys and girls here and just say,
Okay.
yeah, I'm happy or I'm not. You had to put a silly voice
What are you,
on.
my analyst? Come on here.
I'm just spotting things about you all the time.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
It's true. Now, the first series,
Interesting, though.
and this series,
Yeah,
is very
so-
traditional. It's a sketch show.
Yeah, Dick Emery sort of format.
Now, what happened? I remember a long while ago you were talking about this series and you had something totally different planned, didn't you? You were going to do some
Well, we were
strange-
going to do a soap opera, yeah, using a lot of different characters, and then we decided not to. Basically, the BBC said, yeah, we really like that idea, but we'd prefer it if you did your own show first.
That's what they wanted.
And Jeff Perkins, who produces for me, thought the same, and Paul Whitehouse and Charlie Hickson, whose excellent new novel, King of the Ants, is just out, who also writes for me, he thought the same too.
A fine book and an even finer T-shirt.
It's an excellent book.
You were wearing that when you
actually.
did
It's
Aspel
brilliant
last week, and Aspel would have none of it, would he?
I know, but I've watched it since then. No, I tried to plug it to Aspel at the beginning of the programme. I said, this is an excellent book, and that was cut out straight away.
Well, you see, because they're not live like we are.
No,
that's
they're
it. Harry, so new characters on the
lovely
show.
Tuesday yesterday. It was brilliant, wasn't it? Wasn't the news interesting?
Yeah, let's... But Harry, let's not waste time talking about the news. Let's get on with the programme, because there'll be another news tomorrow and the day after. The new characters you do a wide range of new characters. And many you drop. You do the aliens, the...
Yeah,
That's
they're not
what
on
you-
yet. They're on in a couple of weeks, I think.
Was that to do with the show? You just got excited then and you just...
Yeah. Well, no, the aliens, they just go, tree! That's all they do. They try and learn English. And
So
they
do you
don't.
write these? You write them all with...
With
Charlie
Paul
Hickson and Paul Whitehouse?
yeah, who's splashy, does a lot of good work for charity. And with Charlie Hickson, who wrote King of the Ants.
Yeah, which is a
899.
fabulous novel.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Jeff Perkins, who's on our producer, who's on KYTV.
Now this is getting very
Good stuff.
incestuous, isn't it? This,
Yeah,
this-
it is. It's a little world of incest, isn't it?
What's that
Although
mean?
I'm
Is that
not,
some
I'm
sort of-
not. It's not actually incestuous because I'm not related to any of them, and I've never had sex with any.
It's
of them.
incestuous, well, not yet anyway, you never know, do you? But it's incestuous in the broader
yeah,
sense
I do.
of the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. So I was just thinking about having sex with all that lot.
Yeah. Now, what are the other characters I like? The 30 persons are good. This is a
Right.
nice piece of observation on your part. Tell us about the 30 persons and do a voice if you will.
Jonathan, they're all guys over 30. And they're not afraid to show their emotions. And they love people, Jonathan.
Ah, this
They
is so
love
quick,
you.
isn't it?
I love you. I love you.
That's it. You're just in a happy Wednesday groove and you're just...
I am, yeah.
Now,
I love Wednesdays,
do people still...
But they're so like Mondays sometimes.
Yeah.
but they're not,
People still shout loads of money at you when they see you. Do they say, oi, there's Stavros, there's loads of money?
No, they sort of more shout, you don't want to do that.
So the new one.
Yeah. Aye? Only you? They say, only me? Aye?
Now, will you get tired of this now then? Will you find out that that's...
No, I
driving
don't
you mad?
really... Yeah, I mean, we won't do it after... We don't do it much in this series,
Yeah.
just little bits. But we won't do it much, really, no.
What would be... Have you
There's
had...
another one that people think from the first programme we did, just from people I've talked to, that we had these guys, Lee and Lance, who were in a garage last year, and this year, what with the recession, the current climate and all that, it went bust, sadly. And they now got a flare stall.
And he's the one is that what you want? Because it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right, almost right. You see, people always quote your catchphrases just wrong. It's,
Wow.
if that's what you want, then that's what'll happen. But anyway.
Could I apologise for
But that's
sounding wrong
actually,
here,
it's not even
Harry?
a catchphrase anyway, yeah.
Now-
Sorry, what? I wasn't listening.
You weren't listening, were you?
I wasn't.
You're off in your own little world, aren't
No,
you?
that's one of my faults, yeah.
Now-
One of my many faults. Apart from having a very small hand.
a very small Wednesday. Yeah, are you happy when people do call you Dick Emery, the Dick Emery of the 90s or the 80s or whatever? Because I've heard that now. People are saying, it's a 90s version of the Dick Emery show.
They call me Dick. That's not Dick Emery. No, I mean, it all started because I said a couple of years ago, well, I suppose it's sort of Dick Emery format.
Yeah.
In that I'm the only person, I think, around of my generation doing a show...
Doing characters.
That's just characters, you know, sketches, this character, and they all appear nearly every week and stuff, you know.
Mm.
And that's why, really. And Dick Emery used to use comedy teeth, and we use them too with Tim Nice with Dim.
Not the
Nice
same set,
people.
I hope. I hope you've...
They might be, yeah. They were very green on the inside when I
It's a nice thought, a bit of showbiz lore being handed down from like
it's not that nice actually.
Dick to Harry sort of thing.
I really want the bra. That's what I want. Oh, you are awful.
Oh, you are awful.
But
yeah.
I like you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
The final question I want to ask you: there's a new Carry On movie coming out.
Yeah.
They're making a new Carry On movie,
Carry On film.
Columbus, and I've heard that loads of what we term at one time alternative comedians are going to be in it. Have they approached you? Would you be in it?
Well, they have approached me, yeah, but it was a sort of little part, one scene really, and unfortunately I can't do it. But it was basically, I think it was Rick Mann and Ed Edmondson.
And what kind of part were you going to be playing?
Well, I was a messenger, and I had to go in, and I had a note in my shoe, and they said, "Come on, give us a note." And I said, I can't. They said, "Well, why can't you?" "Can't get my shoe off." "I haven't had it off for weeks."
Oh, fabulous.
And that was the joke, and that was the only joke I saw.
You don't need to go and see the movie now when it comes out. We've got the
It's a
material.
very funny joke, isn't it?
Harry, you're a very funny
That's
man.
funny. You're a funny guy, Jonathan.
It's lovely to see you again. Thanks
And
for the
you.
cuddle. That was nice.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. more
Harry
than
Enfield,
you.
ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, that's another show. That's another show in the can. Join us again on Friday after the election, but now with the dramatic news that the drummer has made a Lazarus-like recovery. Let's all bow down to the majesty of rock. This is their new single, and it comes in this. Have you seen this, Harry? While you're hanging around, the new single from Spinal Tap, Scratch and Sniff.
Yeah.
Roast beef flavour.
I just sniff. I don't scratch.
Here they are. Spinal Tap, the majesty of rock. Good night.
There's a pulse in the newborn sun, a beat in the heat of noon. There's a song as the day grows long, and a tempo in the tides of the moon. It's all around us and it's everywhere, and it's deeper than royal blue. And it feels so real, you can feel the feeling. And that's the majesty of rock, the fantasy of roll, the ticking of the clock, the wailing of the soul, the prisoner in the dock, the digger in the hole. We're in this together and ever. The shade of a jungle glade, or the rush of the crushing streets. On the plain, on the phony main, you can never escape from the beat. It's in the mud, and it's in your blood, and its conquest is complete. And all that you can do is just surrender to the majesty of rock, the pageantry of roll, the crowing of the cock, the running of the bull, the shepherd with his flock, the miner with his coal. We're in this together and die? Do we haunt the sky? Do we lurk in the murk of the sea? What then? Are we born again? Just to sit asking questions like these? I know, for I told me so, and I'm sure each of you quite agree.